Hi, it's Deborah Green here to talk about smart meters, what they don't want you to know. I'm going to focus on four main areas: the safety, cost, security, and privacy, or we could say lack thereof. First, we need to understand a little bit about how smart meters work. A smart meter is a wireless communication device that communicates in a microwave frequency range, or we could say radio frequency. It's a two-way transmission device, and you can use it to track your electricity usage online. Utility companies can remotely shut on and off your electricity and your appliances when you use smart meters and or smart appliances. And smart meters are meant to replace the old-fashioned analog or dial kinds of electrical meters that are mounted on the side of your house and record your electrical usage. I'm going to focus on the downside of smart meters, and this image is a summary of the rest of my entire talk. If you look at number one, where it shows your home, you can see there's a smart meter mounted there, but the smart meter does not communicate directly with the power company. Smart meters are designed to communicate with each other, and so your smart meter is communicating with your neighbor's smart meters, and those in turn communicate with a hub that is typically mounted on a utility pole, as you can see at number 5, and then the data, the information from that utility hub then gets transmitted typically to third-party data analysts, eventually to the power company, and potentially elsewhere. So let's look at some of the downsides of smart meters. You can see at house number 2, the person there is experiencing headaches, and at a house further down the line, people are experiencing insomnia and having an inability to sleep. These are just a couple of the symptoms from the electromagnetic radiation that's emitted from smart meters, and I'll talk more about that later. You can also see that at point number 5, when the data is consolidated at the hub and then transmitted to the third-party data analyst, it is vulnerable and open to hackers in the form of petty thieves who can tell a lot about what's going on inside your home based on the data that your smart meter collects. And it's also vulnerable to cyber terrorists who could potentially shut down the entire power grid. When the data goes to the third-party data analyst at number 7, it is then oftentimes sold to the highest bidder, whether it's an appliance manufacturer or companies who want to sell you things. When it's at the power utility, they have the capacity to remotely turn off your power and also to turn off your air conditioner or other appliances if they deem that you're using too much electricity. Also, in violation of your constitutional rights, the police and other government agencies can have access to detailed information about your lifestyle without the need for a warrant. And again, I'll talk more about each of these points, but this image basically sums up the entire rest of my talk. Are smart meters safe? Let's start with that question. Well, back in the 1940s, we had the DDT is good for me campaign, where it says that exhaustive tests have shown that when properly used, DDT is a benefactor of all humanity. Well, thankfully, we know better now. In the 1950s, we had the X-ray machines in shoe stores. This is a picture of an X-ray machine that was commonplace in shoe stores across the country. You insert your feet into the bottom, it X-rays your feet, and allegedly this was supposed to help us have more accurate shoe sizing or something when you go to the shoe store. Thankfully, we know better now. And then, of course, there's the tobacco industry, where everyone from children to Santa Claus were smoking cigarettes, and we had doctors recommending that people smoke cigarettes. And we had, of course, all of the scientific evidence showing the positive effects of smoking, and dentists got in on the act recommending that people smoke cigarettes. Well, thankfully, we know better now, but it took a very long time. And what happens is there is this time lag between when a new technology or a new product is put on the market, and there's a chance for the biological sciences to actually research these new products and technologies, and for there to be enough research amassed so that there's some kind of consensus. And then it takes even longer before government can actually act on the results of the research and set regulations to protect people. And corporations and industries are well aware of this time lag, and they take full advantage of it. There is massive profit to be made in that time lag, and there are very many examples of it. In the case of smart meters, we have a marriage between the telecom industry, big data, and the utility companies. The telecom industry is a $14 billion industry. Big data is estimated at approximately $8 trillion. And when that's combined with the utility companies, we're talking about untold trillions of dollars to be made here. And there is this kind of endless loop between government power, corporate profit, lobbying, and government power and corporate profit and lobbying, and on it goes. Thus, the problem. In the case of smart meters, they play an integral role in perpetuating this money to be made. Experts in the future of energy are clear on what the future of energy looks like. It consists of something called distributed energy resources. And distributed energy resources are small electric generation units, microgrids, storage units, grid connected devices, to the extent that every home can become its own power generation station. You put solar on the roof, you put a windmill in the yard, and all of these can be linked up through an app on your smartphone, doing away with the old-fashioned power company and the power grid. And the power company is very well aware of this. That's why there is such a push for smart meters. Are smart meters a biohazard? The most recent study suggesting that the answer is a definitive yes was funded by the National Toxicology Program of the National Institutes of Health. It was a $25 million study that was done over a period of years, and it showed that there was a link between the type of radiation emitted from smart meters and two different types of cancer. The World Health Organization has classified this type of radiation as a Class 2B carcinogen in the same category as DDT, lead, asbestos, and chloroform. Would you knowingly put DDT inside your home? Health experts from over 20 countries oppose smart meters. The American Academy of Environmental Medicine has called for a moratorium on smart meters. And smart meters have been shown to interfere with pacemakers and other medical devices. Are we human guinea pigs? Well, many smart meters lack UL safety approval, and the FCC safety limits, which are the limits that so-called govern smart meters, have not been updated since 1992, and they're based on science from the 1980s. Do you think something has changed in terms of this sort of radiation in the wireless world since the 1980s? 9 countries have lower exposure limits than the United States. Lower meaning we are allowing too high of exposure limits. We're allowing too much of this radiation in. Thousands of peer-reviewed scientific studies document the biological effects of radio frequency radiation. It has a cumulative, compound, and long-term effects. This type of radiation has been linked to all kinds of very serious health effects and more subtle or mild effects as well, ranging from insomnia or memory loss to brain tumors and cardiac dysfunction, damage to our DNA, and so forth. If you want to learn more about the negative health effects of radiofrequency radiation, check out bioinitiative.org. This is a massive study that has 29 authors from 10 different countries, 10 MDs and 21 PhDs. They poured over almost 2,000 research studies and came to the conclusion that the radio frequency safety limits must be lowered in order to protect human health. There's another study that was done called the Celatune Scientific Statement, consisting of 7 scientists from 5 different countries coming to the exact same conclusion. The RF safety levels must be lowered in order to protect human health. And this study from the FCC's own website was comprised of 6 doctors. They went over almost 200 research studies and came to the same conclusion. RF levels must be lowered to protect human health. A study that looked at almost 2,000 pieces of research describes smart meters in the highest risk category. Also, hundreds of fires have been linked to smart meters. Fires in Florida, Pennsylvania, Nevada, Oregon. In Portland, 70,000 smart meters had to be removed because of fire risks. Up in Canada, Saskatchewan Power spent almost $15 million having 105,000 smart meters removed due to fire hazards. And there have been deaths in Reno and California linked to smart meter fires. If you look on the website of the Hawaiian Electric Company, which happens to be where I live, despite all of this evidence, you will see under health and safety, it says, are smart meters safe? And they say yes. Also, there's a question, do smart meters increase the risk of fire? And on the website, it says no. It's unconscionable that an electric company would make these kinds of statements. And this is actually a milder version. They've updated their website. Their older version had even more blatant misinformation and misstatement of facts on it than this. So look at the website of your utility company and do not believe what you read, because there's a lot of misleading information out there about smart meters. The utilities have a tendency to say that smart meters are like cell phones. Well, cell phones are not safe to begin with, but smart meters are not like cell phones. When you factor in duty cycles and whole body exposure, smart meters actually produce 160 times more whole body exposure than a cell phone. So they're actually much more dangerous than cell phones. Plus, smart meters emit pulsed signals at very high intensities, unlike cell phones and Wi-Fi, which are more uniform pulses. It turns out that we humans are far more susceptible to these erratic spikes produced by smart meters. These have been measured as high as 190,000 spikes a day. And here on Maui, where I live, I measured a smart meter, and that smart meter was spiking multiple times per minute. Some more negative effects of smart meters is that they affect not only humans, but all living things, including our pets. Where there are more smart meters, there's going to be more smart meter infrastructure, more hubs, towers, cell antennas, and research shows that real estate values drop by 20% when there are these types of infrastructure, wireless infrastructure in a neighborhood. Also, smart meters increase customer power shutoffs. It's a lot easier to remotely turn off the electricity of a poor person who cannot pay their bill than it is to have to go to that person's house and look them in the eye and tell them that you're shutting off their power. Utilities in some jurisdictions have planned strategies to withhold information and install smart meters without the knowledge or consent of their customers. And in some jurisdictions, customers have been lied to, they've had their homes broken into, and people have been arrested and jailed for opposing smart meters. Do smart meters save money? Well, the proponents are fond of saying yes, they do, but the research shows otherwise. Smart meters actually don't save money at all. They cost money. They're a very, very expensive addition to a utility, and ratepayers end up paying for them. Smart meters also do not save money. They rely on the customers logging into websites and making different choices about their electrical use. Smart meters are designed to link into home area networks, which cost money, and use higher priced smart appliances, which are a lot more expensive. And in the UK, for example, when research was done on the hand system, it showed zero energy savings. There are also lots of unforeseen costs, such as security and liability in terms of fires, health effects, environmental effects, lowered property values, and so forth. In fact, there are many insurance companies that refuse to insure smart meters. Swiss Re, which is the second biggest reinsurance company, which means they insure the insurance companies, they have categorized unforeseen consequences of radio frequency radiation as a high impact casualty. In another study that included 10,000 households, 80% of those households showed their bills increasing after smart meters were installed. There's also been expensive delays and glitches in rollouts. There has also been inflated bills. In some instances, people have seen their electric bills double or even triple. 2,000 customers were overcharged in Dallas upon their rollout. There were 8,000 complaints of price gouging in BC when they rolled out their smart meters. 20,000 customers were overcharged in California. Here in Hawaii and in many other places, you have to pay not to have a smart meter. And some people are calling that extortion. Northeast Utilities in January of 2014 came out with a very interesting statement to their Department of Public Utilities. This is a utility speaking. They said, there is no rational basis for these meters. There's ample evidence that this technology choice will be unduly costly for customers and that the objectives of grid modernization are achievable with technologies and strategies that rank substantially higher in terms of cost effectiveness. If a utility is saying that, well, then we should really question what's going on. Are smart meters secure? Well, there is ample evidence showing that there is much more going on behind the scenes than we would know about. More than 4 billion data records were stolen in 2016. This is a report from Risk-Based Securities. There were over 4,000 confirmed breaches involving over 4 billion data records. And most of those data breaches, the target was businesses. Your utility company is a business. There were also medical institutions targeted and government agencies. And if these places are not able to protect themselves, you can only imagine what the risk is. Smart meters are not secure. When they were first rolled out, no one was assigned responsibility for security. They're vulnerable to petty thieves and hackers, and they're also vulnerable to cyber terrorism through rogue nations. The FBI estimates that hacking may cost utilities $400 million a year. And in 2015, the smart grid reached 440 million new hackable points. Next, let's look at our smart meters surveillance devices. Well, there's a lot of evidence showing that in fact they are, because smart meters collect personal data throughout the day and night. You see, each electronic device inside your home has a unique power signature, and that unique power signature, the data is permanently recorded by a smart meter and can be accessed by government agencies. The data can also be mined, shared, and sold to third parties. The North Carolina Law Review says, quote, smart meters collect fine-grained minute-by-minute data about electrical use and transmit it back to the utility at regular intervals. This data, when collected over time and analyzed, can reveal the activities and behavioral patterns of a household. They can tell what time you get up in the morning, when you go to bed at night, whether you're taking a shower or a bath, for how long you're taking a shower. They can tell when you're on vacation, when you're not, and so forth. Traditionally, law enforcement would need a warrant to gain access to your home, but smart meters take information about the activities inside your home and they put it up in the hands of a third party, the utility company. And under the third party doctrine, that information loses Fourth Amendment protection and becomes subject to warrantless collection. Smart meters do, in fact, invade privacy, and big data is big business. What can you do? You can go to keepyourpower.org and sign our petition to stop smart meters until they've been proven safe. If you don't have a smart meter on your home yet, you can file a notice of non-consent with your utility, and you can also post a notice of liability near your analog meter. If you already have a smart meter, there are also steps you can take. The most important point is to educate yourself and take action. At keepyourpower.org, click on our resources page for a list of resources to help you educate yourself and take action. You could also learn a lot by watching Take Back Your Power. This video is available at takebackyourpower.net. Thank you so much.